again.
Should we tell him that Kavanah Bechazar Shots, or should you just tell him to do another Amidah, or?
At this point or in general? At this point, it's too late, you're saying?
Let's say he caught it before he started Amidah, before he set up Chazar Shots.
I think it says in that case you're allowed to. Pretty sure it says in that case you're allowed to. Either generally we don't rely on Chazar Shots, but
Why do you rely on
because you already davened once and you're just missing one thing. I think so. Because you already davened once and you're only missing one thing. I think so. I have to look it up.
I think if I'm not mistaken, Rabbi, all the way to Modi'in, if you can go back, or maybe after Modi'in, you know.
No, you realize after you finish.
After you finish, then you have to go to the beginning, Rabbi.
I don't see anybody. Where's your brother? Okay. Who's David? Who's David? Is that Benji? Who's David?
David? Maybe it's my cousin.
Oh, David Walker. Got it.
יש איזה...
אני רוצה שכן לא, אני אקנה את זה.
סביבה?
ג'וסן סביבה?
That I know.
ראיתי.
הנה, צ'סן.
היפה זה זה כן.
אני משתמש עם זה גם, אבל אני לא לומד מתוך זה, אבל אני מביא את זה.
אני לא אקנה, אני לא משתמש. אם זה צריך, אנחנו לומדים מזה משהו.
זה מוסיף, אבל זה לא עיקר הלימוד.
לא העיקרי, וגם זה לא.
גם זה לא.
אוקיי.
בעיקר אני לומד מברכוס, סדר ברכת הנהנין, מאלתר רבה.
Where did he live? He lived in Holland, right?
Yeah.
On the beach in Holland, somewhere there?
No, I was living around that. Yeah, with you again.
All right, my friends, we are learning, we're starting tonight to learn the halachas of Brachos Hanen. So, for your information, I already told some of the people, but just to catch you up on what we're doing, the halachas Brachos Hanen includes a nice section of the Shulchan Aruch from Siman Pei Gimel, which is where Brachos Hamazon starts, up until Siman Reish. Actually, if you consider the bracha on spices and shachiyanu and all that, it goes all the way to Siman Reish Lamed. So it's quite a lengthy limud. And the Alter Rebbe distilled these halachas into what is called Seder Brachos Hanen, the order of Brachos Hanen. And the Alter Rebbe wrote the Shulchan Aruch, which includes the halachas of Brachos Hanen when he was younger. When he was older, he wrote something called a Luach Brachos Hanen. And Luach means like a chart, exactly. And it seems that was put up in shuls like a chart, like a kitzer, almost like a short version. And then even later in his life, he wrote the Seder Brachos Hanen.
Oh, the second one.
Second one. A second revision of the summary.
That's what you're going to be using?
Exactly, that's what we're going to be using.
Can I get that somewhere?
Yes. So the Seder Brachos Hanen is, if you have the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, it's printed at the back of Chelik Aleph. If you have the Shulchan Aruch Arav. So it's also printed separately in a book, a 2-volume set like this, called Seder Brachos Hanen by Yekusiel Green. So that's in Hebrew. In English, unfortunately, it's out of print. Both the book that is separate, which is this, as well as the Shulchan Aruch, the new Shulchan Aruch with English, they translate out the Shulchan Aruch. Volume 2 includes it. The volume 2 or 3, I don't remember which it is.
The white one?
Yeah, the white one. I don't remember. One of the first volumes includes it, but when I checked last week online, it was unfortunately out of print as well. So, oh, they do? Okay, so maybe it's still available in the bookstores. Online, I didn't see it. So, the Kitzer, if you want it online, like actual online instead of using a book, it is available in Hebrew online also. I sent a link out when I sent out the information. English online, I have not seen it, unfortunately. I don't know why, because they did post the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch online in English, the one that they have published now. But I don't think I didn't see the Seder Brachos in English online. Did anybody see that? Just going to and do a search. Say,
Search more in the highway. We start viewing.
no.
So I wish I could see you again, Just passing through, like life.
Seder Brachos I don't see it here. Okay, I don't know why they didn't post it, but maybe one day it'll go up. But as of now, it's not up. So, no, it's been translated. That's the thing. It's in the new Shulchan Aruch that they have printed, which they put that online. This particular part of it that I didn't see online yet. Okay, so
We can email it.
good.
They have it.
I know hard people to email, but yeah. I can email the guy who translated it. Maybe he knows. Okay, so you don't have it. No. Okay, so I'll see if I can. I'll email the guy. I don't know what the chances are, but anyway. Okay, so we're going to start today with an introduction, and then if we have time, we'll start with actual Seder. And I do want to say also that somebody brought to my attention, Rafael specifically, that perhaps we should try to go through this topic a little bit faster than the 8 months that originally planned. So we're actually going to try to finish it, if possible, before Yom Tov, and we're going to see how we go with that. Although I must say that I am going to Eretz Yisrael in July for 3 weeks, first 3 weeks of July. Flying out on the 1st. I'm not coming back till the 23rd. Actually, it's more than 3 weeks. But I will try to record.
Last year, right? Sorry.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm going to try to do classes while I'm there at least once a week and broadcast them or whatever. But just to give you that heads up on that. Okay.
Can we have Shiurim and
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to try to do at least one a week.
still just come?
I don't mind if you do it that way.
Maybe like 1 week take off or something, and then another 2 weeks have Shiurim.
Yeah, but you don't have to come here. You could do it in your houses on the computer. Either way. So we'll deal with that as time goes on. Okay, so a little bit of an introduction to the halachas of brachos. So the Gemara in Brachos says that it's forbidden to get benefit from this world without a bracha, famous Gemara. Whoever does so is transgressing on the Isser of Me'ila. Me'ila means when you use a holy item without permission. Obviously, it's not permission. Any holy item like a korban, something sanctified to the Beis Hamikdash, use it for personal pleasure, it's called Me'ila. So Hashem basically does not permit us to benefit from this world without saying a bracha. So if a person does without a bracha, that's considered Me'ila. What should a person do to make sure this doesn't happen? The Gemara says he should go to a Chacham and he should learn Hilchos Brachos. So that's what we're doing here. We have the Chacham, we have the Alter Rebbe, and he's teaching us Hilchos Brachos. So another famous Gemara is that it says a contradiction. One pasuk says, "L'Hashem haaretz u'mloya." Hashem owns everything that's in the world. Another pasuk says, "Hashemayim la'Hashem va'aretz nasan l'bnei adam." The world, the heavens are for Hashem. The earth belongs to people. Hashem gave it to people. So the Gemara says, "Kan koinem bracha, kan la'achar bracha." Depends. Before you make a bracha, belongs to Hashem. That's why it's me'ilah to use it. But after you make the bracha, then Hashem gives us permission to use it. In addition, the Gemara also says, this is all in Brachos Lamed Hey, I think it is, Amud Aleph and Amud Beis. So the Gemara says there that a person who benefits from this world without saying a bracha, it's as if he stole from Hashem. Because we already said, it's like Hashem owns everything until we get permission for the bracha. And it's as if he also stole from Knesset Yisrael, from the Jewish community. And not only that, he becomes a chaver leish mashkes. He becomes like a friend of the destroyer. Who is the destroyer? The destroyer is Yeravam ben Nevat, who destroyed the Jewish people by getting them to serve idols. And the Gemara brings a pasuk in Mishlei that says, "Goizel avu ve'imai, va'omer ein pesha, chaver hu leish mashkes." A person who steals from his father and mother and says, "Big deal, I didn't do anything wrong." It's like he's a chaver, he's like a friend of a ish mashkes, of a destroyer. And the Gemara says this is referring to a person who eats without a bracha. He's stealing from his father, that's like Hashem. Stealing from his mother, that's, so to speak, the Jewish community. And he becomes a chaver, like a friend of the ish mashkes of Yeravam ben Nevat, who was a destroyer. Yeah, Shechina, which is kolel ol neshamot of Klal Yisrael. Correct. So what's the pshat here? Why is it stealing from Knesset Yisrael? We understand stealing from Hashem because Hashem owns everything until He gives us permission. What does it mean he's stealing from Knesset Yisrael? Stealing from the Jewish community. So the answer is, the Mefarshim explain that when a person makes a bracha, he brings shefa, he brings divine blessing down to this world. Because by recognizing the goodness of Hashem in this world, he brings a blessing to this world. That is in fact the purpose of the entire creation. The purpose of the entire creation is that we should recognize the goodness of Hashem. I mean, there's different reasons given for why Hashem created the world, but one of them is that we should recognize the goodness of Hashem. So when we do that by saying the brachas, recognizing the goodness that He gives us, so then we bring about greater presence of Hashem in this world, greater blessing in this world. This is actually what is accomplished when you say a bracha, because the word bracha is both like a thanksgiving, but it's also, when you say a bracha, it means you're giving a blessing, like you're adding blessing, adding something that's not previously there. What does it mean to add something to Hashem? You can't add something to Hashem. Hashem is not missing anything. But what it means is that you add godliness to this world. You add shefa from Hashem to this world by saying a bracha. So chas v'shalom, by not saying a bracha, that is the opposite of that. It's stealing the shefa that should be coming to this world. And it's called a chaver leish mashkes, like Yeravam ben Nevat, who sinned and caused others to sin. A person who doesn't say a bracha in a way of ein pesha, the Gemara says that he is, the pasuk the Gemara quotes is, Goizel avim v'omer ein pesha, says no big deal. So that's like a person who doesn't say brachas. But not only doesn't say brachas, he said, no big deal. Yeah, shahakal, it's good enough. Yeah, wash my hands. I don't wash my hands. Zionist, it's good. So that whole light kind of attitude is something that obviously affects other people. Other people also take a lesson from that and think it's no big deal. And that is why it's compared to Yeravam ben Nevat, who sinned by causing others to sin, which is a worse sin than what you do for yourself, because you cause others to sin, it's not in your control anymore, and so on and so forth. So this is all about the importance of saying brachas. Another important thing that has to do with saying brachos is, by the way, all the long distance students, some of you have been here before, some of you have not. Daniel has, David has, Moshe is Moshe Becerra, so you have, yes. I see Benji is here as well. Welcome. Benji and Ariel left.
Hi, Ravi.
Program. Shkar for joining. So if you have any questions, by the way, you can unmute yourselves and ask. And you can also type them on the side if you like. So, actually, I don't see where comments are. There they are. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can comment them on the side. Okay, so another point is that the Gemara says that when it says, Ma Hashem Elokecha Shalom Machkim Liras Hashem Elokecha, what is Hashem asking from you except to fear Hashem? The Gemara says that is talking about Al Tikra Ma Elameya, that you need 100 brachos, you need to say 100 brachos a day, Liras Hashem Elokecha, to come to fear Hashem. And the Medrash says the whole story. There were 100 people dying a day. They didn't know what it was. And David HaMelech at that time established 100 brachos a day, and that's when they stopped dying. But the point is, oh, exactly. At that time, there was no set text for a bracha. So the bracha was simply in your own words, Breslov style. And you just thank Hashem in whatever words. You have the nice heat of the sun, thank Hashem for the sun. Nice breeze to cool you off, thank Hashem for the breeze. Which you can still say, no question about it. Can't say with the words Baruch Ata Hashem, because that's a special nusach that you can only say it in the right way. But you can, of course, speak to Hashem in your own words. But then the Anshei Knesset Gdola came and gave specific texts to the brachos, and those are the 100 brachos that you're supposed to say a day. The Yiras Hashem Elokecha, to come to fear Hashem. And in my preparation today, I came across a quote from the Shulchan Shel Arba by Rabbeinu Bechaye, and I sent it out. I thought I sent it out today, but it seems like you didn't get it, so I'll have to send it out later, but I'll tell it to you now anyway. Shulchan Shel Arba says that we thank Hashem for the use of all of our senses, specifically when we eat, we thank Hashem, and that's actually based on a pasuk of this week's parsha. It's Hashkacha Pratis that we're starting with Parshas Kedoshim. Parshas Kedoshim, also a special day, by the way. Tonight is Beis Iyar, which is the birthday of the Rebbe Maharash, the fourth Lavater Rebbe. But in any case, Kol Pirya Kodesh Elulim Hashem. On the fifth year, the fourth year, which is when you start eating the fruit, Orla 4 years, 3 years you can't eat. The fourth year, all of the fruit is holy, and it's Hilulim Hashem. It's praise giving to Hashem. So, simple pshat is that it's only the fourth year. For the fourth year, you take it to Yerushalayim, you eat it there, and you thank Hashem for your fruit. Rabbi Akiva says in the Medrash, Taras Kainim, that it means that kol pirya kodesh, all of the fruit, not just the fourth year. Every single fruit and every single food is holy until you praise Hashem. Like we said before, it all belongs to Hashem. Till you praise Hashem. When you praise Hashem by saying a bracha, that's when you're allowed to eat. So that's one source in the Chumash for the concept of saying a bracha on food. And the reason that it's hilulim in the plural is because it's alluding to the bracha before and the bracha afterwards. The sense of touch is included in the sense of taste, he says. So that covers those two senses. The bracha on smell, the sense of smell, is also alluded to in the Chumash, where it says that Yitzchak said, Rei reach b'ni kereach sada sheberacha Hashem. That he said that the smell of Yaakov is like the smell of a field that has been blessed by Hashem. And with a play on words, you could say that it's like a smell on which we have to bless Hashem. So that's obviously not a simple pshat, but also the Gemara says, Kol haneshama tahalal ka, that we praise Hashem for the neshima, literally it's a breath, When you breathe in, smell something, you have to say a bracha. So that's number 2, or number 3 if you count sense of touch.
What does it mean that's breath?
Actually, you know what? I think I got that wrong. I think the pshat is that the sense of smell is something that only the neshama benefits from. It also says kol neshima neshima. You have to thank Hashem for every breath. That's not about smell. This is a thing that the neshama benefits from. Neshama nanis, exactly. And then we have, of course, the sense of sight. When you see the sun on the beginning of the month of Nisan every 28 years, say a bracha. Something that you see. When you see the blossoming fruits in the month of Nisan, you say a bracha. When you see a friend after 30 days, 12 months, we'll learn about it, you say a bracha. An eclipse, when you say the bracha in the morning, Yirtzeh Or, before davening, it's over the luminaries and so on. And then you have the sense of hearing, which is when you hear good news, also you say a bracha. So these 5 senses, he says, correspond to the 5 books of Moshe. Touching, he says, is included in taste. Yeah.
Sepharad, I think most of the Sephardim, they do the blasting before they go outside, right?
I didn't hear you say.
You do the brachot before you go outside, or you do it in the synagogue, or you do it at home? Usually home, right? No, my question is
Chabad does it at home.
Yes.
Because we have the Brachos Torah after that. So we don't want to delay Brachos Torah till later.
Yes.
If you want to learn.
We also have Brachos Torah.
So that's as far to say it before.
Yeah.
Ashkenaz has Brachos Torah before. So
I don't get it.
I'm saying.
If you're going to wake up and you go to shul, what's the
I'm saying, but you want to learn another way, you want to do, something. You have to, can't say any Torah until you got the shul.
You have to do it at home.
You don't have to. It's a minhag. It's the minhag to do it at home, and that way you're free to learn Torah.
So my question is that we have to see the change the night to the day. No, but the home is.
אתה לא שכבי. שכבי יש לו בינה.
Oh,
שכבי זה תרנגול.
okay.
תרנגול יש לו את הבינה להבין מתי זה יום, מתי זה לילה.
So you can do brachot shachar at home without seeing anything outside. Okay.
Oh, before it gets light?
So
זה תלוי.
if I do the nights, I wait until the time. So I may
זה
go.
תלוי. אחרי עלות השחר בטח, כן.
So that
So you have to
sometimes.
wake up before, as long as you're staying up.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get to the synagogue and it's still not time because when the time changed, 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
I think actually after you get up, it's only if you're chayav on them. If it's not the next day yet, and you didn't do something to be chayav on them, I don't think you can say them yet. If you didn't actually hear the rooster, I don't think you can say it until morning. You know what I'm saying?
If you're going to learn, you woke up at 3 o'clock, you want to learn for 2 hours before.
So you said Brachos Torah. Say Brachos Torah.
Just say Brachos Torah, you don't say the whole Brachos. You can't say.
You can say the ones that you're chayav in, that you did. You got dressed, you wiped your eyes.
Shebachar banu, you have to say that before.
I think the only one is the rooster, because you don't hear roosters in Miami. Everything else, you get dressed.
Smart.
You hear roosters in Harbor Island? Yeah, that's true.
I have a really question about it. It's Sfirat Omer. You do blessing, right, for Sfirat Omer. Then,
אנחנו גולשים, אנחנו גולשים.
no, it's bracha, it's brachot. Let's say we forgot to say, and the next day morning you say without bracha.
Yeah,
The evening you can say with the bracha.
yeah.
What's happened if the night you say with no bracha and the next day you do with no bracha, after you could go back to bracha?
You wanna?
Why not, right? Okay.
Unless you miss 24 hours, you can always say with a bracha. Okay.
Going back to the introduction, so what is the scope of what we're doing? For learning everything.
Everything in Seder Brachos Hanenin, which the Alter Rebbe includes in it the brachos before eating, the brachos after eating, and many of the brachos that are not on food also, like brachos on smell and good news and goimel and all of that. Doesn't cover brachos and mitzvahs because that's more of a thing that goes together with every mitzvah, but pretty much it's what he covers.
Rabbi Anus, he can make instead Birkat Hamazon al Mechia.
Nagia לזה.
נגיע לזה.
So Razal Shania,
תודה.
Razal Shania.
Covered.
It's covered.
It's covered. It's all in there. It's all in there.
How Pesach?
Okay, my friend.
Why is saying a bracha related to asking for permission? You don't get the answer if you receive the permission, right?
What do you
Why
mean?
isn't it more as a thanks?
It is a thanks, but until you say thanks, you have no permission. Hashem permits you to benefit from this world after you thank Him.
Now, there are certain things that you still do.
And you know how you get the answer? And you know how you get the answer?
Rabbi, question on
The
that
next
day,
day you have more bread.
they had the
Next day that there's one.
Right,
Right.
The Hanukkah say thank you.
Oh, how did they do it before that? How did they benefit before that? It's time that they said it anyway. They just knew that they're Cheretz. You have to say thank you. Exactly.
Thank you.
It was natural. They didn't have to be told.
They knew from themselves.
There are few things that you do before saying the prayer.
What do you mean?
Think woman in the mitzvah, or there are a few things that you do the action and then you say the prayer.
Oh, there's a few things, yeah.
Like lighting Shabbos.
Yeah, but not Birchas Hanenin. Not Birchas Hanenin. Those are Birchas HaMitzvahs. Birchas Hanenin, that's not a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to wash your hands. It's not a benefit. There's no benefit from washing your hands. The bread is the Hanenin. Washing the hands is a mitzvah. Asher Kedeshanu Mitzvotav V'Tzivanu. Whenever you say Asher Kedeshanu Mitzvotav V'Tzivanu, it's a mitzvah.
What's Asher Yatzar?
That's Shevach Vahidah. Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. There's a separate category. There's basically three categories of brachos. There's the brachos that we say on Nanin and on Noah, before and after food. There's the bracha that also includes reach, smell. It's also a benefit. There's a bracha that we say on mitzvahs, and then there's brachos shevach v'hodah, Thanksgiving brachos, like agoymal, shayatzar. You see, shooting stars, all those types of things. So, Seder Brachos covers two of those. Not Brachos HaMitzvahs, but covers the Brachos Hanenin and Brachos Shevach V'Hodah. Okay. So, what else do I have to add from this introduction?
So we're not going to cover anything that doesn't mean.
Not really, no. Maybe it'll come in, by the way, but not really. Okay, the Arizal warned Reb Chaim Vital very much that the way to receive Ruach HaKodesh is by having kavanah and being careful in Birchas Hanenin.
Birchat?
Hanenin. When you say the right bracha before you eat with the right kavanah, then you get rid of the klipot, the impure forces in the food. And then when you eat it, they're purified and they can help you become more pure. Okay, another very important ritva that says, first of all things, one must learn and teach their children and students the laws of brachas, so they will not come to do me'ilah, right, by benefiting from this world improperly. And this is very serious, he says. Okay. What else do I have to say? that this is all stuff that I've quoted and sent out to you in the introduction. The Sefer Hasidim, quoted in the Mishnah Berurah, says that when you say the bracha, you have to actually think about the fact that you're thanking Hashem. And you should not do it just without thinking. Hashem was angry at the Jewish people, and he said to Yeshayahu about this, that the people who honor me with their mouths, they honor me with their mouths, their hearts are far from me, and their fear of me, and their fear of me is not real. It's just something they're used to doing. So they wash their hands, they say a bracha, they say hamoitzi, they eat and they drink, but they're not thinking about what they're doing. So there's actually a very terrible, I say the word, but there's a very terrible curse in Yeshaya after that description of how people serve Hashem. So therefore, the Sefer Hasidim says how important it is to actually think about what you're saying when you're saying a bracha. There is a machlokes. If you I only have it in my notes in English. I didn't look it up today. This is from my last time around. I taught it. It says he became angry at his people and swore with his great name to destroy the wisdom of the sages who know Hashem.
The sages?
Of the sages who know Hashem.
Our on improper Brachos affects the Chachamim.
Yeah, Klal Yisrael.
That's the
We're not zoche to the Chachamim. Let me just quote you the full thing so that I don't get it wrong. Shaya 29. Yan ki nigash hazeh. You hear? Yeshaya 29:13. Yan ki nigash hazeh befiv. The people have approached me with their mouths. Uvesfasav kibduni. They honor me with their lips. The libay rochak many. Their hearts are far from me. Like I said before. Yosef lahafli es hamazeh hafli v'fela. V'avda chachmas chachama uvinas nevoinav testator. The wisdom of the wise men shall be lost, and understanding with geniuses shall be hidden. It's interesting that the Chachamim's knowledge is the fiyerach, the avodas Hashem of the people. We have to be zoichet, the good Chachamim, basically. So, the point is that as an interesting halacha in Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch about saying a bracha without kavanah. If you say a bracha without kavanah, are you actually yotze that bracha or not? So the Alter Rebbe brings it's a machlokes. If you say it in another language, you're for sure not yotze. This is important, by the way. No, that you don't understand or that you're not thinking about. If you don't think about what you're saying, or you don't understand the language, either way you're not yotze. If you say a bracha in a language that you don't understand, or a language you do understand but you're not thinking about it, definitely not yotze. If you say it in Hebrew, some say you're yotze, because Hebrew is a special thing. You understand it, you don't, you're paying attention, you're not saying it the right nusach of Chazal, you're yotze. But the scary thing is that according to the opinion that you're not yotze, Alter Rebbe says, not only are you not yotze, but you're actually saying Hashem's name in vain. Because you're left with saying, having said Hashem's name, not fulfilling the bracha. So what is Hashem's name? It's just being said for no reason. So in addition to that, the sin of benefiting without a bracha, according to that opinion, you're also left with saying Hashem's name without any purpose. Very scary.
Is that a bracha? Is that a issue the rice or the Rabbanan? As far as going to Rambam, it's issue the rice.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. I don't think it's Zeraisa.
So,
I don't think it's Zeraisa. I haven't looked into it recently, but I don't think it's Zeraisa.
so the world is big trouble.
We have to fix our part of the world. Every person can affect the whole world. That's all. We have to do our part. Okay. So the Chachmei Musar say, this I saw in the one of the introductions to one of the Brachos books. For your information, I'm using various Brachos books in my preparation. Not that you have to buy the books, but they're just good books. I mentioned some of them in the email I sent out to Yaakov Yosef. Also, this bracha this book by Pinchas Badner, called the same bracha in Hebrew. Halachos of Brachos in English. That's it. Nice grapefruit on the front. I lost that cover a while ago. This is a very excellent sefer by somebody named Mandelbaum. The Zois HaBracha, Hebrew only, but he has a lot of nice information in it and interesting discussions.
What is Sefer name?
In English, it's Halachos of Brachos by Pinchas
the name?
Badner. Pinchas Badner, yeah.
Where can I find the Lulav or Seder Brachos?
So if you want to buy the book, you can either buy it by buying this, Beer Seder Brachos. That's an explanation on it. So it has the Seder with an explanation on it. Or if you want to just buy it, have the actual Sefer, you can buy the Shulchan Aruch Harav Chelik Aleph, and it's in the...
Do they have the one? Do they have that online?
In Hebrew, you have it online. Yeah, you don't have to, if you could just use it. I sent a link. I sent it last week. It's in that email. You have a link. You can just print it. If anybody needs it, yeah, it's a good thing. Okay, so in one of the introductions, I just came across a nice thing that Yisrael Salanter was in a inn once, and he asked for a glass of tea, and the guy said, "Brought him a glass of tea," and he said, "That'll be $5 or whatever." So he said, $5? I mean, what is it? It's a water, and it's tea leaves. It's like, I don't know, 50 cents. Okay, so you mark it up, $1, but $5? So the innkeeper explained to him, I'm not just charging you for the water and the tea. You have to understand you're sitting on a chair, a table, with a room, with lighting, with carpets, with waiters, with a nice cup, with the whole ambiance. So Rabbi Salanter said, thank you very much. He thanked him very much for this explanation. He said, now I understand when I thank Hashem for something he's giving me, I can't just thank him for that thing. I'm drinking a glass of water. I shouldn't just think about the water, but the water, the glass, the things that brought the water to here, the rain and the dam and the pipes and the room that I'm in and the comfort that I'm, put it all together, just like you thank a regular person. It all goes in the price. So it should all go in the thanks. So I thought that was interesting. Okay, so after that introduction, let us do a little bit of background on the Shulchan Aruch. Now, I sent out a historical background to the Shulchan Aruch sheet, and I've sent this out in various versions. So I'm not going to go through everything because it's not necessary. But basically, if we come across other achronim, I'll add it to the list that I sent out. and I can send out an updated version from time to time. But basically, the way halacha developed was the way we have it is that the Tur, who was a son of the Rush, first codified the halachas in the sections, the 4 sections that we have today are Chaim, Yerdea, Even Ezer, and Choshen Mishpat. Chaim is the laws of daily living. Yerdea is the laws of what's permitted and forbidden. Even Ezer is marriage and divorce, and Choshen Mishpat is monetary law. So the Beis Yosef wrote a commentary on the Torah, which quotes all of the Gemaras and the relevant Rishonim. And in addition to that, he also wrote a Shulchan Aruch, which presents the actual halacha in a way of a Shulchan Aruch, a set table. You don't have to look for the cutlery, you don't have to go to the kitchen, it's all in front of you. So if you want to learn the Torah in the Beis Yosef, it's a big effort to come to the Halacha L'Maisa because there's so much information. You learn the Shulchan Aruch, it's all set up. The Ramah, like we mentioned in the past, the Ramah also was writing a Pirush on the Torah at the same time as Shulchan Aruch, as the Mechaber of Yosef Karo. He was in Krakow, Mechaber was in Tzfas, and then he realized that the Beis Yosef was writing the Beis Yosef, and he was like, "What am I even doing?"
Realizing he was writing.
He was in the middle of it. He was in the middle. The
Shulchan Aruch?
The Ramah was writing the Darkei Moshe, the Pirush on the Torah, and then but then he's in the middle of his writing it. He came across the Beis Yosef was printed. It was a manuscript that he heard, and he was like, "Wow, everything I did. What's the point? It's like a waste." And then he said, "No." He wrote this in his introduction. Then he said, "No, I still have reason to write what I write," and the reason is that the Mechaber gives primacy to 3 main poskim, which is the Rif and the Rush and the Rambam, and there's a machlokes between them. It follows 2 out of the 3, and if there's not clarity from one of them and it's 1 against 1, then he has 5 supporting pillars, which are I'm not finding them here at this moment, but he had 5 supporting pillars. I think there were the Rashba, the Ramban. I don't remember who the 5 were. Sorry? Is that what it was? Mordechai Lachzelis could be. I don't remember. I had it in one of my notes here, but I'm not finding it right now. The Kitzer, and that was it. And the Ramah says that that the Mechaber did not include many of the later Achronim. The Achronim that he's referring to are the later Rishonim, Shumas Adeshan and the Maharil and Hagois Mordechai, the Hagois Ashri, and so on and so forth. And he did not give so much credence to the Minhagim. He more followed the actual poskim and the majority of what they say. And the Ramah did give a lot of primacy to the Minhagim. So that's what it is. Yeah. 3 points, he says. First of all, to write what the Beis Yosef wrote in brief, to add the opinions not brought by the Beis Yosef, Shuvas Hagoyim, Marivalis of Heter, and to paskin like the later Achroinim, and specifically for Ashkenazim, Tosfos, Maram of Rottenberg, the Ravia, and so on.
What was the second?
Maram of Rottenberg.
No, the second reason.
To add opinions that the Beis Yosef didn't bring. Shuvas Hagoyim, Marival, and Isser Heter. So the point is that this followed on into the Shulchan Aruch itself, with the Ramah adding his Hagois, his notes on the Shulchan Aruch of the Mechaber. Instead of writing a separate Shulchan Aruch, he wrote a Hagois on the Mechaber, which generally Ashkenazim follow. The Ramah didn't have to do that, by the way, because there were others that did not follow that system. For example, the Levush. or Mordechai Yafi, wrote his own Shulchan Aruch, start to finish. So, but Ashkacha Protis, the Ramon and the Mechaber were the ones that became accepted by Klal Yisrael, which is nice that it's the same sefer that Ashkenazim and Sephardim use, even though Ashkenazim give primacy to the Ramah, Sephardim to the Mechaber, but we have Achdus, at least insofar as the sefer that's the most fundamental sefer in Halacha is one that everybody uses. So the Alter Rebbe was chosen amongst the 120 students of the Maggid of Mizrich. The Alter Rebbe was chosen, even though I think he was the youngest student. The Maggid of Mizrich chose him to write a Shulchan Aruch, and he asked him to write a Shulchan Aruch. And the purpose of that Shulchan Aruch is that by the time you came to the Alter Rebbe was, 250 years after the Mechaber, or like almost 300 years. So there were so many commentaries on the Shulchan Aruch that your average guy didn't know what to do. The whole point of the Shulchan Aruch was to make it simple, right? Because to learn from the Gemara, and you don't even know which Gemara to use. The Torah, at least you know where the topic is, but so many opinions of the Beis Yosef. Okay, the Shulchan Aruch brings it simple, straightforward, this is what you do. But then you have the commentaries, you have the Magen Avraham, you have the Taz, you have the other Mefarshim on the page, in the back. So what do you do? The Maisa. So the Alter Rebbe brought that all together in his Shulchan Aruch Harav. And didn't cover all 4 sections of Shulchan Aruch, covered most of Orach Chaim, parts of Yeridea, none of Even Ezer, and Choshen Mishpat he made like a kitzer. But anyway.
What is Magen Avraham?
Right.
Besides the, do you have any klalim that he went by? Or how did he make a challah? Did he have a material towards Kamala? What was he?
No, not in the Shulchan Aruch. In the Siddur, yes. Any psakim that are in the Siddur have an atiyah to Kabbalah, but in the because it was a Madur Basra came later. He wrote the Siddur after the Shulchan Aruch. For those who are his Hasidim, that has been suggested too. That the Siddur is for those that Chabad Hasidim per se, and the Shulchan Aruch was more general. So it could be, but at least for Chabad Hasidim who do use the Siddur, so that's the Madur Basra, that's the final sign. But in the Shulchan Aruch, he follows the rules of halacha, even though he brings the Kabbalah, but he follows halacha that gives primacy to the halacha of the Kabbalah. There's a machlokes about when the Mekubalim disagree with the Baalei halacha. If halacha is from say one thing and the Kabbalah says something else, who do you follow? So the Baalei halacha say you follow the halacha. The Baalei Kabbalah say you follow the Kabbalah. So in the Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe says clearly you follow the halacha. But in the Siddur, we see that he follows the Kabbalah more.
How does the Kabbalah dispute?
Rarely, but sometimes.
I'm saying, how does that happen?
What do you mean? Just like you have different opinions in halacha, you can have an opinion in Kabbalah that disagrees with halacha.
But
I mean,
in Kabbalah from who?
From big people like the Zohar is written Rabbi Rishon Bar Yochai. You know what I'm saying? So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is a big enough person to argue on anybody in the Gemara.
But from the Zohar you can find a way to treat halacha.
Yeah. So when the Zohar does not, the Zohar is not a halacha sefer per se, but there are things in the Zohar that have relevance in halacha. So
Okay.
So if there's a contradiction, if there's no contradiction, so you're supposed to follow the Zohar. If there's no contradiction, he says something that doesn't conflict. But if not, that's when you have issues. Actually, the Magen Avraham really brought in the Arizal into halacha in a major way. Quotes Arizal a lot. Okay, so
Sounds like the result of your posting.
I don't know.
Ben Ish Chai says that even though Kippur, anytime the Arizal goes against Maram, we post the Arizal.
Interesting. I don't know, but
He actually says that Ilu Hayam Ran saw the road. These things he would have.
it's interesting. Even though they were allowed at the same time, but he didn't know exactly what I didn't discuss them. Interesting. I don't know. I don't remember seeing what the Maharam holds about that specifically. Okay. One of the advantages of the Alter B'Shulchan Aruch, which we do not have in the Seder Brachos Hanenin, so that's going to be an effort to bring that in, is that in the Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe brings the reason for his psakim. He brings the reason for the opinions and for the psakim.
Yeah, Shulchan Aruch.
In the Shulchan Aruch Harav, he brings reasons. In the Seder, he does not, because the whole point of the Seder is
Short.
simple, short, and so on. So we're going to try to bring it in as we go. But that's one maila of the Alter B'Shulchan Aruch. In that sense, he follows the style of the Levush. Shulchan Aruch does not bring reasons. Shulchan Aruch, the Machaber Ramah, says the halacha, that's it. The Levush brings reasons. So in that sense, the Alter Rebbe follow the style of the Levush. What do you say?
He doesn't have regular Brachos Hanenin. It's only Seder Brachos Hanenin.
No. He has in the Shulchan Aruch. He wrote the Shulchan Aruch,
Brachos Hanenin?
including Brachos Hanenin. Yeah,
Oh.
not all the simanim. Some of them are lost, but many of them are there.
So I was going to be able to give us maybe some
Hopefully. Yeah. I
I
didn't know. Yeah, it should be. It should be in the notes there. It should be.
All of us, I don't. Did you pray Mari?
Did you pray Ma'ariv?
All of us, no. So we need three. It's easy to make a three
It's not easy.
because we have six.
Besides pointing at me, how's it easy to do? Go ahead, Rick.
We have the neighbor here. What's his name?
Chanan, but I'm not going to ask him unless we have an idea for another two.
More.
Okay.
Can we make it that Ma'ariv's a 10?
We can make my time, yeah. You have somebody if it's a time?
Yeah, I'm saying just to make sure that we get as much as we possibly can.
It's fine with me.
Hashem.
Okay, so one interesting thing that the Alter Rebbe says in the beginning of his Seder Brachos Hanenin, I'm going to read it. Ve'elam moisef al harishonim, tzas chidushei halachos berois melukotes mesifrei kadmonim. Shelenikvu beluach harishonim yusuf meshuchel al pidas ha'acharonim. Asher be'ezem mekoyman shal shvachim beyunim menichel mokum ligdol liris beganim v'lokot shashana. Ve'elam v'elam chaim re'achad nesunim, kam seir halachos v'rokim sudam pei boif and nois v'yesem mesukanim. So the Alter Rebbe says these chapters I'm adding to the previous ones, some clear halachas that are gathered from the earlier Sfarim that were not included in the first Luach that was basically founded on the opinion of the Achronim. That in some places of looking into it, they left us room to shepherd in the gardens and gather flowers. It's an expression for chidushim. These are all words of Hashem given from one shepherd, and the order of the chapters is also a little bit different. Okay, so what's the point here? The point here is that the Alter Rebbe in the Seder Brachos Hanenin gave priority to the opinions of Rishonim over Achronim. What does it mean? The rule is generally Hilchas HaKabasrei. You always have to follow later opinions rather than earlier opinions, because the later opinions already took into account earlier opinions, and if they passed them differently, they must have had information to bring them to that point. However, there's a famous klal that the Ramah brings down, the Shach brings down, that if there are opinions of the Rishonim that were not seen by the Achronim, then we follow those Rishonim against the Achronim. Because had the Achronim seen the opinions of the Rishonim, they would certainly not have disagreed with them. So that's what it seems is happening here in this Seder Brachos Hanenin. The Alter Rebbe is giving priority to opinions of the Rishonim that were overlooked by the Achronim, either because they didn't have them, simply they were not printed yet, or that there were deeper understandings of those Rishonim that the Achronim didn't come to, didn't realize that the diuk in the Rishon that brought about a certain different halacha, and the Alter Rebbe gave those opinions priority in the Seder Brachos. Okay, my friends, with no further ado, we are going to begin. You have two? Excellent.
Yeah.
Introduction, part of the test.
Got all that?
It is not, sorry.
Maybe we got that.
Okay, so
He has it here, by the way.
I know you.
Oh,
Yeah, he has it and I have it, and that's it.
you put the English also?
I have it in English, yeah. It's the same book, I'm just missing the jacket also. Okay, Mitzvah Saseh Min HaTorah. Should I send out the link again? Yeah, you have it on a computer. I'm going to post a link on the.
So this is English only?
Yeah. I'm going to post a link just so.
You're also comparing the other opinions, maybe if, let's say, the Shavur or the just argue?
I'm trying. It's a big job because it's not all. It's not like last time where each simon was the simon. Same simon here. I have to gather it around. So with Hashem's help.
Saying, but he goes through subjects.
Yeah.
He's not it's not scattered.
No.
What's this subject?
But the subjects are sometimes from different sources. You know what I'm saying? Not always. It's more or less the same simon, but not.
Here the Chazon Avadia, the representative,
Huh?
he also has subjects.
Ah. Oh, nice.
Rabbi, what sefer is this again that you're using?
Where's the smicha group? What happened to my group? Here it is.
It's the first subject.
All right, here we are. Okay. Mitzvah Semen HaTorah, Levorech Achar Achilas Mazon. It is a mitzvah say from the Torah to make a bracha after eating. Shema says, "V'achalta v'savata v'rachtas Hashem." You should eat and be satisfied and bench Hashem. It's midrabanan to make a bracha after all eating and drinking. Whoever benefits from this world without a bracha, it's as if he is benefiting from something sanctified to Hashem. Like it says, Hashem like I quoted before. Okay, so the only bracha that we have on food that is min HaTorah is the bracha after eating. Specifically, it's after eating bread, because the pasuk says that the the pasuk about V'achalta v'savata v'rachas Hashem alakecha as Tov Shechalach is said after the Aretz Ashatecha Balechem Leisefsa Kolba. It mentions the eating of bread, and after that it says V'achalta v'savata v'rach. So according to most Rishonim, it's only a mitzvah say midaraisa to bench after eating bread and after being satisfied by eating that bread. And that's why we have the concept of a person who's not sure if they benched or not has to bench again, but only if they ate and were satisfied, because that's when it's a suffix deraisa, Torah level doubt. The first three, but once you're benching, you have to bench all four.
Second time.
Yeah, second time too.
Where are we reading from again?
Once you're benching, you have to. I sent out a link just now,
Oh,
both on the chat and on the side here of the page.
okay.
But it only has Hebrew. Unfortunately, I don't think it's available in English online.
Okay.
Sad to say, I feel bad about that. But if you have the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, the new print, it's printed in the back of, I think it's volume 3. You have that? Daniel, you have that? Safer? Hello?
Yeah, I don't have it. I just look what's online.
Okay. No, they didn't post this online, unfortunately.
Okay, so I'll look at, on the
Sorry?
chat and see what I can find.
I sent it by WhatsApp, and I only sent it to the group that's watching the thing on the computer. I can send it later also.
I mean, maybe is it in Chabad.org, in where they have the whole Shulchan Aruch?
No, it doesn't seem like they posted that for some reason. I don't know why.
It would be easy if you could, for me, if you send it by email, actually, because WhatsApp's on my phone, so it's kind of harder to read.
Oh, okay. I just posted it on the side of the chat. You don't see it there?
Let me check.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Click on the messages.
Oh, you joined this.
The link I just sent. See it there?
No, not yet. Let's see here. No. I'm looking on an iPad here, so I don't know. Maybe it's different.
All right, I'll send it by email right now. No, no Kudus, I must warn you. All right, there it is. Okay, so now, for your information, there are Rishonim that hold that it is a mitzvah semida eraisa to make a bracha after eating the shefa minim, the 7 species of Eretz Yisrael, because the bracha, the pasuk, shkoyach, and water, wow, shkoyach. The pasuk that says v'achalta v'zavata is written after the sheva minim are listed. So some say that if you eat the sheva minim, it is a mitzvah say midaraisa. There are those who shine them, but it's not the main halacha.
Before lechem or after lechem?
I'm talking about after. Achalta v'savata. You eat and you're satisfied. Only after.
Plus,
No, it's
when the
after.
Sheva minute mentioned.
After.
First lechem, then the Sheva minute, and then B'chalta v'savata?
Interesting.
So why?
Because the most Rishonim understand that the savata is going back on bread, because that's the only thing that fills you up. Why is it? Because everything else doesn't actually fill you up.
It's very,
I mean, it fills your stomach, but it doesn't give you satisfaction, because it runs through your system very quickly. Fruits, vegetables. It doesn't give you
Meat?
still not in the same way as bread. I mean, honestly, the pasuk doesn't mention meat, so I don't even know if that's part of the discussion. I think
Is
it's
there
part of
any
the
Rishonim
discussion.
that say it's anything?
I don't believe so, no.
So who's this? What Rishon says this?
That it's other
Sheva.
Sheviminim, I don't remember. Just give me a moment and I'll find the pasuk. Chalta v'salvata dvarim ches yud. That's my computer, the internet. It's very slow today. Here it is. Eretz Chita. No, sorry, you're right. It's reversed. Eretz Chita Soira, Geffen Tain Rim Eretz Zeishim Vlash. That's the Shem in Pasuk Ches. Eretz Asher Liv Misknas Techabal Lechem. That's Pasuk Tes. And then Pasuk Gid Vechalta V'Savata. So the one closest to Vechalta V'Savata is Lechem. Okay, so we continue and we say,
Mazon would be bread, basically.
what do you mean by mazon?
So we say we cut the mazon.
Does mazon only mean bread? Does the word mazon only mean bread? Is that your question?
And she feel like zonas.
Exactly. Zionus. Boire mine mezonus. It's not only bread.
But it's something that's sustained.
Rabbi,
Not,
No. Shiva minim.
not.
Shiva minim, but not bread necessarily. The zionus is only said on the shiva minim, with the exception of rice, actually. Besides rice, you only. I mean the grains that are. I mean the grains, not the shiva. The grains. It's only said on the grains. So, yeah.
Right.
Mazon doesn't have to be bread, but it has to be a grain. It has to be a grain.
It's a good question. What we would say, obviously, Muslim means.
So the simple answer is that it's not lechem. It's not lechem. In the pasuk. Now the question is, when you have a lechem, but it's not the type of lechem that people eat as their main bread, which is basically cake, cookies, all those sorts of things. So that's when it makes a difference, because there it is lechem and it is satisfying, and therefore if you eat to the point of satisfaction, it becomes actual bread. That's why we have all the halachas of how
Well,
much.
that's meaning, and it's something bracha every time you get full from.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's why it's a big question
so
about eating these foods once you're satisfied. Could be you have to bench.
that's
I would tell you don't eat something until you're full.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. We're gonna get to
See
that.
that?
It's a big discussion. Big
it's also
discussion
about
coming
the
up.
question about, if we Korea Seuda, let's say Shabbat, everybody in the synagogue, is a plate like that, like a giant plate, Korea Seuda. It's
Kovea
not bread.
Seuda is only an
It's not
issue.
bread.
It's only an issue if you're eating lechem she'eno gamur, like cookies and cakes. If you're eating other things, potatoes, meat, vegetables, no problem.
No problem. Also, if you Korea Seuda,
No problem. It's only lechem that's an issue. All right. Okay.
So this is not a din of the Gemara, this is a din of this is a Mishnah now.
Yeah.
I mean, the Gemara never mentioned that you only do Birkas Hamazon. Obviously not, because then how can every Rishon go against it? Then it was up for debate whether the previous things, which is in a minute, also have to be mentioned.
No. That's a machloikes tanoim.
But it is not.
That is machloikes tanoim. But everybody paskins that you only bench on bread.
Except for the
But there were shonim that say that it's da'iraisa, say, okay, you're yotze with the Mein Shalosh. Mein Shalosh has, right, Mein Shalosh. Ala eitz, Vala Pia eitz. It includes all the components of benching, right? It has the it's Mein Shalosh. So nobody says that you bench on them, but some say that the Mein Shalosh on them is da'iraisa. Yeah. Okay. Al kolorch lenumashkin v'orchen bracha kalelis lekama minim. On all food and drink, we make a general bracha that includes many minim. I saw a nice word in the Sefer, Yad Haktana. A Yad Haktana, Sefer Yad Haktana is a pirush on the first two Sfarim of the Rambam, Mishnah Torah, written by somebody whose name is Doiv Ber Gottlieb from Shinov, who was like a hidden tzaddik, like nobody really knows much about him. He was like a businessman, not a Rav, but he wrote a very, very nice sefer on the Rambam. This is going back into the mid-1700s, or he passed away in the mid-1700s. The Kitzer, he says a nice word there. He says in the beginning of his Brachos, he says, why did Hashem have to make so many foods? Hashem could have just made one food. Like in the mid where they had the man, that's it, simple. What do you have to be so complicated for? There's actually one of these Silicon Valley, people who couldn't be bothered eating. So he came up with this mush that includes all the necessary vitamins.
Soylent.
What is it called? Soylent. You just add water, and that's all you have to eat. You don't have to take time away from your computer. All you have to eat every day, taken care of. So
It's like a smoothie.
but Hashem could have made Soylent, but no, Hashem made.
Then we complain about Avadechim and Abatzalim, Rabbi.
Exactly. So we wouldn't know what to complain about. We wouldn't have it. So he says the whole point is that Hashem wanted to give us different kinds of blessings. The whole point of creation is that Hashem wants to give us blessing so that we can recognize His greatness. So the different things we can recognize Hashem's greatness through them and Hashem's kindness through them. He gave us all of those things. That's why it says in the Gemara that if there's something you don't benefit from, Hashem's going to be upset. Why didn't you benefit from it? What's the point? Just to benefit for the sake of pleasure? No, the point is to be able to thank Hashem for that thing. So really the reason we have all those things, why do we have all these things, is really to be able to thank Hashem for them. That's the bottom line. So anyway, the point is, so we say a bracha that includes many. We don't have a bracha for each and every species. We have hadamba for all the fruits of the ground. We have aids for all the fruits of the tree. And we have shahakal for all of the different types of food and drink. Before I continue, I just want to bring the vort of the Shalah, a very famous vort. The Shalah says, the Lavush. The Lavush says, why do we have to say a separate bracha for all of these things? Why can't we just say shahakal? Because we know that shahakal covers everything but yevit. Shahakol niyavit, everything was created by Hashem's word. It's mamish, a beautiful bracha. Why do we have to get into the details and so on and so forth? So he says, very simple, that when you praise somebody, the most effective praise, this is a psychological truth now, when you praise somebody, if you want to effectively praise them, you have to praise them for the details, because it shows that you really appreciate it. If you see, your kid brings you his project, and you say, very nice, so beautiful, excellent job, doesn't really mean anything to him. It just means that you want to be nice. But if you say, wow, that picture of the guy, those eyebrows, wow, such a good job with those eyebrows. So you could say, what are you, eyebrows? Who cares? You made a whole thing. No, but that shows that you noticed, that it's real. You understand? It's something significant. So the same thing, if you just thank Hashem for everything, it doesn't mean that you really appreciate the details. If you thank Hashem in a specific way, that's the proper way to praise. With the exception of wine and bread. That wine was taken from the klal of Peres Eilam. It was taken out of that klal, and it was made, that you should say agafan on it. And Pas was excluded, taken out of the klal of Peres Haaretz, and said to make hamotzi on it. Okay, here we have a little bit. Zeh halacha, zeh pirush. עכשיו אני למדתי את ההלכה השנייה. זה ההלכה, זה הפירוש. אתה מבין? אני רק קורא את ההלכה.
So if you say, like a bracha that includes the other ones, say Adama, that would cover ayats.
Yeah.
So, how bad is it?
So Adama covers eights. He's going to discuss that in Dalit. Adama covers eights because everything that grows on a tree also grows on the ground. Yotze. Yotze. It's not lachatchila, because like we said, you're supposed to praise Hashem in the most specific way possible. But if you already did it, but you have it, you're yotze, correct. That's why if there's any doubt, something's Adama or eights like a banana and many other things, you say Adama, because it covers you. Covers you.
If you don't know, it's a shackle and you go to.
Exactly. But the author was going to explain that that's only if you do your best to know. You're not supposed to just say shakal stam without trying to understand, trying to say the right thing. Al-Khanan is coming, so we have.
All the cake for Passover is shakol or mizanot?
If it's made with matzah meal, it's mizanot. If it's made with potato starch, it's shakal.
You have to read.
Yeah. If you're Sephardic and it's made with rice flour, it's mizanot. Do they make it with rice flour? No. Never seen.
So, a lot of like places, a lot of like you go to an event, they have cake, and nowadays like a lot of times cakes are made with potato starch. Like not only on Pesach, like it's a shahako cake.
The gluten free.
Yeah,
gluten-free.
Oh, right, because it's gluten free, I guess.
Yeah.
So like, you now have to make yourself crazy about asking, like, is it finding out if it's mezainis, going to the mashgiach? Like,
I don't think so, because those
you
that
can assume
those that are gluten free, they usually tell you, because the people that are gluten free want to be able to eat them. You know what I'm saying? They don't usually just. I don't think so. I don't think they just put it out as the regular cake. They'll put out a section of gluten free, so people that don't want to eat gluten.
I think now more like, not specifically for, because like, if you ever had like potato, like brownies made from potato starch are actually like very good, and they.
Yeah,
like,
but I don't
almost
think
like
it's
you can't even
common.
tell.
Not on Pesach. I don't think it's common. I haven't seen it. Except after Pesach, we
So
want to
you
get
can
rid of
just
all this
assume-
stuff.
You can assume you don't have to be worried that, like, you can assume that everything that looks like cake is mezainis.
As far as I know, I haven't seen the other stuff put out stem. You know what I'm saying? Personally.
Like
Unless you have a reason to know,
Right, unless, yeah, if you
should ask.
if it happens,
family member, they they definitely like making brownies with potato starch,
right.
and it's shop.
Right.
Like
So then when
that's
you
just what
go
they
to
say,
their
like,
when
in
you go to their
you
house, you
open
should
it.
ask.
Right, but
When you go to their house, you should ask. And in my freezer, when I'm raiding the freezer and looking for stuff, I know I have to ask nowadays because my wife makes chocolate chip cookies that look like Mazzona's cookies, and really they're gluten-free, almond flour, whatever.
Right.
Once you bite into it, you can tell. But you're supposed to make the bracha before you do that.
You can taste it. I know about it. Put it on a piece of that.
Actually, yeah. If you're not gonna swallow it, yeah.
It's made from
I
almond
think
flour.
I think I just read the rabbi shot me to the shop number, and I think you just smell it.
No, that's if you're tasting it because you're not sure if it's good.
Yeah, not sure about. I'm tasting it for the taste.
Yeah, but that's not the same.
So
There, the
by-
product
by
is
bread,
not.
If you don't know bread, you don't spit it out. It's given the spit
No, you can put it on the side of your mouth. Put it on the side of your mouth. I don't think you're supposed to swallow a food that's prepared already. I don't think so. I have to look that up, but I don't think so.
You blasted the food or tree or anything, and you bite, and it's disgusting. You don't want to eat that. So you throw it, or
It's disgusting,
bracha
it's
is okay.
The bracha is lost unless you have some more of the food in front of you that you can eat instead.
So you have to swallow it and from that.
If some of it is good, but if not.
I don't like the cake, I don't like it, let's say.
Oh, if it's good, there's nothing wrong with it. You just don't like it. You should swallow a bit. If it's rotten, then you don't have to swallow. But if it's actually good, then you should try to taste a little bit of it.
If it's not good, is it a bracha levatala?
It is, but there's nothing you can do. Just say Baruch Shem.
Baruch Shem.
So there's a lot of products that are coming out with now the meatless burgers. Vegetables.
Yeah,
It's everything, it's very, very confusing.
yeah, that's true. The impossible burger, they call it.
But either way, that would be shahakol.
Possible burger?
They're calling it impossible.
But either way, that would be shahakol.
That one's sharp.
What's the shot of it?
Either way, there's,
Like, how could it be not meat? But it's taka not meat.
You ever had one?
No, I heard about it. And then-
they're kosher, these impossible burgers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure they have an OU.
Oh, well.
Had one?
Like from that company that just went public? Like 2 days ago. It's from that, just. The IPO.
The nicest thing next week is to go to the position.
Okay,
Not meat.
Salt, bro.
What's the Kiddush? Answer.
I mean, it actually tastes like meat.
okay, Shaya, let's finish base. Shayayin etzim l'cha peres ilin v'or chalav bar pergaf. Wine was taken out of the category of fruit to make agafen on it. Pas was taken out of the klal of peres haaretz and said that the bracha of hamotzi should be said on it. So I want to clarify these 2 points. Yayin hoitzioi mechlal peres ha'ila. If not for the special bracha that they made on wine, it would have been ha'etz. Why would it have been ha'etz? Doesn't look anything like grapes, but it is the pre of that eitz. It is the fruit of the grapevine. You understand? The fruit of the grapevine is the wine.
So
It's important. The fruit of the grapevine is the wine. The grapes are not considered the best product of the grapevine. They're considered
That was cool. Was that?
that's how the Chacham understood it.
Every
This is
other fruit in the world, the fruit is better.
and olives. Not every other fruit.
Like, why are they-
Olives and grapes are the only ones that are considered to be the main fruit of their tree.
Olives and grapes are delicious.
Nevertheless, they're not bad, but they're the main
Instead of the
fruit.
fruit itself,
The main fruit of the
the juice that
grapevine.
comes out of it is better than the fruit itself.
Exactly. I don't know if it's better in terms of the taste.
That's what I'm saying.
No. It's more important than the grape.
So
Meaning
like,
wine is more expensive than grapes.
More expensive, more important
Olive
in
oil
people's
is
eye.
more
What about the
than
orange?
Exactly. That's the main purpose why people make grapes is for wine.
Oranges are more
Orange juice.
Okay, so that's a machlekes. So nowadays, some say maybe oranges should be the same. It's machlekes Rishonim.
no way.
No joke. We pass and we say shakal because it's suffix. But I'm saying some say that nowadays oranges should be eitz because it's planted to be orange juice. I'm just saying it's machlekes.
It's true. Also, the dates of was it palm dates, dates of palm dates. What?
Hearts of palm
Hearts of palm. They when it used to be,
used to be shakal.
and now it's
Sadama,
right.
Like
Planted
it's-
Strawberry
before
tree.
that.
planted for that purpose. Yeah.
So why?
Strawberry
What's
tree.
the other
is
thing?
different.
What's the other- what's the opposite?
Wait, why
Yeah,
would
it's a big it's machlekes. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it. Because when you cut out the heart of the palm, you basically kill it. So it was considered an unusual food because you have to kill the tree to eat the heart. So it's like
Wasn't
an
the main thing
unusual
the
thing.
date? Wasn't that the main thing was the date and the heart of the palms?
No,
Secondary.
the fact that it's secondary would make it hadam, it would make it shahakal. The fact that it's unusual to do makes it shahakal.
Things completely.
Exactly.
Third.
Exactly. But nowadays they plant it specifically for the heart. So therefore it's considered a normal thing. It's still hadam and not AIDS, but it's
But for oranges, they're special oranges. That's different from the regular.
Yep, correct.
It should
That's
be
more
orange.
reason for it to be Eitz. More reason for it to be Eitz. But it's still Machlekes.
Yeah.
Because that's the ultimate purpose of that. But we're gonna see. We're gonna see the Rishonim about it. Okay, so the point is,
So this one, the grape juice, not the wine. How they come.
I mean, the simple halacha is that grape juice is considered undeveloped wine. Because when you squeeze the grapes before it ferments, it's on the way to becoming wine. And therefore it's already considered wine. Now the fact is that it pasteurized the grape juice in such a way that stops it from becoming wine. But since it had the status of wine, as soon as it's squeezed, it doesn't lose it. That's what most Achronim say. Some say, well, grape juice in the olden days that could become wine is wine. Nowadays, if they stop it and it can't become wine, it's not. It's only juice. But most Achronim say that it's still wine.
But you say, Chiapolon, grape juice.
But the evidence, okay, like any shak.
Okay.
Some Achronim say that it actually is not Agavim. I think Maidim Uzman and one of the later Achronim, one of the nowadays people.
That's why any food change is the way it's shackled.
What's the question?
Normally, if you change a product and it loses its form, it's shakal. But here, because the main fruit of the grapevine is the wine, so that's considered normal. That's not considered abnormal, it's considered normal. And the same is true with bread. Bread is peiros haaretz. Bread is the main way to consume grain. So therefore, really, it should have been hadama. That's the priyo hadama. But because it's special, the Chachamim gave it a special bracha of hametz. That's what he says in Beis. V'choshu b'min dogam v'le'ason pas in Gimel. Anything that is a type of grain but was not made into bread, they're going should be minute of shilin shel kemach u'daisa. Types of dishes that are made of flour or cooked grain. Even though they're not called bread, they are important in that they're called mazon. How does he translate mazon? As sustaining food. You make the bracha boim name is zonis on them. If you made mezonos on pas, yotza yoyotza, yesh cholkim, and some argue. Okay, here there's a little machlekes that is worth discussing a little bit. Everybody knows that shahakol is a general bracha. And if you say shahakol on any food in the world, you're yotze b'diavad, including even wine and bread. So it seems that a general bracha includes, foods that really are part of a more specific bracha. Based on that, you would say that mezonos is a general bracha, and therefore it should include hamotzi, because bread, which is lechem, is certainly mazon. It's certainly a satisfying food. Okay, it's better than that. It's also bread, but it's not less than that. So just like shahakol includes hamotzi, mezonos should also include hamotzi. And taking one step back, you should also say hadama includes hamotzi, because the hoitzioi, they took pas out of the klal of hadama and they gave it its own bracha. That means that it would have been hadama. So hadama should also cover it. So some say that. Okay, the Prisha says that. He doesn't specifically say it about hadama. Didn't say it about hadama. He says it about mezonos. He says if you say mezonos on bread, you're yotze. And that's how he explains why we say mezonos on doubtful pas haba b'kisnin. Pas haba b'kisnin is basically cake. But there's a machlokes exactly how we define pas haba b'kisnin. There's three opinions of how to define it. Is it sweet bread, which is like cake? Is it a stuffed bread, which is like a rogala? You know what I'm saying? That has like inside of it has a sweet stuffing, or is it a crunchy bread, exactly like a pretzel? Three opinions. The Maisa, we say we don't know what the halacha is, so sin mezonos on all of them. So the Prisha explains, since mezonos covers amoitzi, you don't know what to do, you say mezonos. Just like hadama covers haitz. If you don't know if something's a fruit or vegetable, you say hadama. That's the opinion of the Prisha. However, the Magen Avraham says no. The Magen Avraham says that they were moitzi pas mechlal mazon. Because bread is special.
Since we call it Muslim, we call it no.
No, he's talking about Muslim. The preachers, they're both talking about in the context of Passover Kistan. Why do we say Mazonas when it might be Amoitzi? So that's the context. The person also discuss Adama, but I didn't look it up, so I don't want to say who says what about that. So the Mazon, he says, even though it should have been Mazon, when Haitziu Machlal Mazon, they gave it a category of its own, meaning to say, you're right that it's still shahakol because shahakol is a general bracha. They never took it out of that general bracha of shahakol. But when it comes to the question of mezonos or hamoitzi, they took it out of mezonos. They said, no, bread is special. We're not going to consider it part of the category of mazon, of satisfying foods. It's special enough to have its own category. It's not considered a subcategory anymore. So the reason he still says that you say mezonos on Passover Kistan, because it should have been mezonos. All bread should have been mezonos, if not for the fact that they were moitzi at Machlal. So therefore, it keeps its original theoretical bracha, even though it's not a practical bracha. So that's the machlekes over there. It's in Kuf Samachas, actually, if you want to look it up. That's where these opinions are. And that's why the Alter Rebbe says, Safek brachas halakuk Moshe Yisbar. If you already said mezonos on Hamoitzi, Safek brachas halakuk, you can't go back and say Hamoitzi now, even though some say you didn't fulfill your obligation, but you cannot say a bracha in a case of a doubt. Right? This is a very famous thing, which we're going to come across time and time again. Safek brachas halakuk, you cannot say a safek, you cannot say a bracha and that. And there's 2 points to it. First of all, that it's a safek d'Rabbanan. The whole concept of brachas before eating, and even brachas after eating, with the exception of benching when you're full, is all d'Rabbanan. So you don't have to do a mitzvah d'Rabbanan if you're in doubt. But then there's the additional factor of the fact that you're saying Hashem's name. But normally, if you're in doubt about a bracha, a mitzvah d'Rabbanan, you don't remember if you said Hallel. David, don't remember if you said Hallel. No. Hallel is d'Rabbanan. You don't have to say it again. But here, it's not just you don't have to, you're not allowed to, because you're left with saying Hashem's name, possibly in vain. Yes.
אתה שומע, someone, kids,
Yep.
don't,
Yep.
איזה apple, ברוך אתה שווה, אלוקינו, בורא האדמה, עץ, so he said העץ. So if he said right away העץ, it's okay. If not, he can eat that because it's the Adama.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
you have to correct him, right?
Better.
And this,
Right away.
Right away.
Right away, yeah.
And he can repeat himself for the right.
Yeah. Within a few seconds, he can
Who
repeat it.
says, who brings the clothes first?
Such a famous quote.
I'm saying is
Brings it.
Gemara is showing, assuming it's one of those two.
Sounds like it should be.
And it only applies to Hamoitzi when you're a surveyor.
Midoraisa, yeah. Midoraisa, to be able to bench, you would have to be satisfied. Whole concept of benching when you're
No, but
not
like-
sure is Darabana.
Like, let's say
When you're not full, sorry.
you, I don't know, you had some like a big salad or something, and you're full, and you're not sure if you made a bracha, right?
No.
So you,
It's only bread. It's only bread. When you're full on bread. When you're full on bread, then it's deraisa. If you're full on something else, it's not deraisa.
Why does Chazal make a certain measurement shear on 15 the kavetz of bread? Why didn't they just say it's totally on sweet? For example, how do they know I'm going to get full on 54?
They didn't. The whole concept of a kazayas or a kavetz is derabana. Deraisa, there is no shear. You eat until you're satisfied. And if you're not satisfied, you don't
If I had
bench.
55 grams of bread.
And you're
I'm
not.
in a suffix now whether I did Brachos and I wasn't satiated as much, or whatever. I don't consider myself full. I don't know what full means. Is it full or satiated?
Full.
Not satiated. I'm good. I'm not full. I'm good. The Rambam says not to become full.
It doesn't mean that you can't put another bite in your mouth. It means that you're not hungry. You've reached a point that you're not hungry. Doesn't mean you can't eat more. That's not what full means.
No, I was saying the opposite. I was saying the lighter term. I'm satiated. I'm good. I can
You're
eat.
not hungry. You're not
No,
hungry.
I can eat more. I'd rather just. This is what I eat every day. It's my meal. I have a sandwich. It's 55 grams. Every piece is 22 and a half pieces.
If you're not hungry, that's full. It doesn't mean if you've reached a point that you don't want to eat anymore because you don't want to eat anymore. That's something else. If you reach a point that you're not hungry, that's called full. If you haven't reached that point,
So even if a person had more than a kavetz of bread and he wasn't satisfied, he wouldn't do Brachos.
out of that he would not.
So you're going to work, and I have only one sandwich, and I'm still hungry. I want another sandwich. So I will not do Brachos.
You do, but midrabanan.
I mean, because the Rabbanan, so ala mechia will cover that, because I'm not full.
No.
Birkat hamazon.
Cut the mazon keragil.
So if you're eating a salad with breadcrumbs, or bread,
Croutons.
croutons, are they hungry?
We'll talk about it.
Croutons is a big discussion. We will talk about it, Bezrat Hashem. Here, halacha lamed, give me a second. Yeah, I don't know the earliest source for that quote of Sagrach Laka. It's obviously a very early source, but I'm not seeing the earliest source right now. Okay, we continue and we say. I want to bring in another discussion before we continue. Since I said that we're going to bring in other discussions as we go, he brings it here in the Sefer Rabbi Green, in the beer on the Seder Hasanan. So he brings that the same machlekes, I don't want to say names because I don't know who says what, but the same conceptual machlekes about mazonos and moitzi exists about hadama and hamoitzi. Those that say you're yotze with mazonos, like the Drisha, would also say you're yotze with hadama. And those that say that you're not yotze with mazonos would say, no, it's completely out of hadama, just like it's completely out of
Do you know
mazonos.
what the halacha is?
So the Alter Rebbe in the Shulchan Aruch paskins that you're not yotze, like the Magen Avraham. And in the Seder here, he paskins Savarach Zlaka. We bring both opinions of Zlaka. Following the
You would
concept,
make another bracha.
you would not make another bracha. Following the concept through would mean that you would not say it also if you said Hadama. But if you already said Hadama. And a similar machlekes exists between the Magen Avraham and the Even HaOizer. Even HaOizer is a pirush that's printed in the back of the Shulchan Aruch. He was a Talmud of, he was a descendant of the Marshal, Shlomo Luria, who wrote a lot of halacha sfarim, and we brought him down in the past. He wrote a sefer called the Heter. He has Chidush Marshal in the Shas. A lot of
Marshal.
Marshal.
It's on the Marshal.
It's printed in the Gemara on the same page as the Marshal.
It's not on the Marshal?
No, it's not on the Marshal, but there's also a separate sefer written by the same author that's called Yam Shel Shleim.
Oh.
Most of the psukim of the Marshal and Halach are in Yam Shel Shleim. So, in terms of this sefer, the Evan Oizer, who was a descendant of his, and he has a lot to say in Hilchos Brachos. And the Alter Rebbe in the Seder gives him a lot of space, even though he argues on Magen Avraham. But like, I don't know if I mentioned this, that the Alter Rebbe, when he was young, he relied a lot on the Magen Avraham. And when he was older, and I don't know if we can say about Tzaddikim more confident, but when he was older, they say that he it's hard to say these words, but he regretted that he gave such primacy to the Magen Avraham, and in his later psukim he didn't necessarily follow Magen Avraham, just stam. So anyway, the point is,
You allowed to do that?
to do what? To change your mind?
Yeah.
Of course. You get older, you get smarter, you look over the sugya, and you have a different maskana. Yeah, of course. In the Gemara, we have it all the time. Mishnah Rishayna, Mishnah Achrayna. The Kitzer, the Evan Oizer and the Magen Avraham argue about if you said shahakol, not shahakol, sorry, if you said ha'etz on wine. Excuse me, Magen Avraham brings a Tosfos where it's mashma that if you said ha'etz on wine, you're not yoitza. Because again, shahakol is general bracha, but it's taken out of ha'etz. It's not ha'etz at all. And the Evan Oizer disagrees with.
Meaning, Shahakol.
Shahakol remains a general bracha. They never took anything away from shahakol. They said shahakol is like a catch-all. Why did they say that? Because maybe cases of b'diavad, you don't know. They always wanted you to have a backup. But other things, according to this shita, once they gave it a category, even though it could have been included in a different category, once they gave it its own category, it's considered separate. So the Evan Oizer brings 4 reasons why he disagrees with the Magen Avraham. And since I looked it up, I'll share them with you. He says, number 1 is that the Gemara says that why is it that wine gets its own bracha when olive oil doesn't? Olive oil is also boyer pri ha'etz because it's the main fruit of the olive tree, right? It's the main product of the olive tree. Of course, most people don't eat olive oil. But if there would be a normal way to eat olive oil, we'll learn about it later, if you make it into a medicine and it tastes good and whatever, you would say ha'etz on olive oil. The Gemara asks, why is that not the bracha on wine also? And the Gemara says, because wine is a satisfying food. So the Chachamim gave it its own bracha. But the point is that we see, he says, that if not for that, it would have been ha'etz. It has a quality for which they gave it a separate bracha, but it would have been ha'etz otherwise. Second of all, he points out also based on the Gemara that the word geffen, how do you translate the word geffen? Uva geffen shloisha srigim.
Yosef.
V'hi keparachas also nitza, nu, ma tigum shel hamilah geffen.
He's showing him about a Bet HaMikdash, so I'm not sure.
No. Simple pshat.
Simple.
Simple. What does geffen mean? Geffen means grapevine. Doesn't mean grapes. It means grapevine. The actual vine is called a geffen. Boire priya geffen means that this wine is the fruit of the grapevine. Grapes are not the fruit of the grapevine. The wine is the fruit of the grapevine. The Rebbe brings this down, by the way, the Bavchar brings it down in terms of the Hayron Avodas Hashem, that to get to the ultimate fruit of the grapevine, it has to be crushed. Until it's crushed, you don't get the ultimate fruit. So if you live, if everything is cushy and everything is nice and comfortable, you probably don't have you didn't get to your ultimate goal. When you get crushed and bruised and knocked about and so on and so forth, that's where the real goal comes out. Exactly. So Boyer Priagofen means the fruit of the grapevine. The wine is the fruit of the grapevine. So we see we're calling this drink, we're calling the wine, the fruit of a tree, basically. Geffen is just a type of tree. So it's really the same bracha, except instead of saying Priya Eitz in general, you're saying Priya Geffen, a specific type of tree. That's not a completely different bracha. It's really the same kind of bracha. Number 3, he says that Rabbi Eliezer in the Mishnah holds that
That was the mention we include the grape juice.
right, if that's the main product, presuming that's also the main product. Rabbi Eliezer holds that even lechatchila, the correct bracha on wine that is undiluted, in those days they used to dilute wine with water all the time. Eliezer says if you don't dilute it, the bracha is ha'etz. The Chacham say no, it's still hagafen. But he says, Mistama, they don't disagree with him, but the Yeven, he says even lechatchila. They say not. But presumably they don't disagree from one extreme to the other. And finally, number 4 is that the Mishnah says that all priya eitz, all fruit of the tree are eitz besides wine. And then it says beirach al priya eitz by priya dama yatza. So the first of the Mishnah, the beginning of the Mishnah refers to wine as priya eitz. It says everything, all the fruit of the tree is by priya eitz besides wine. That means it is called the fruit of the tree, but has a separate bracha. And then it says, if you make a bracha on the fruit of the tree, which he just identified, wine as fruit of the tree, if you make adama, you're yotzim. So if you yotz with adama, of course, you yotz with ha'etz. So those are the 4 arguments of the Ibn Ozer. The Mishnah Berurah says, Safek brachas lahaka, listen in Siman 208. And Lamaisa, also the Bir Halacha says an interesting thing. Also in Siman 208. The Bir Halacha says, the same machlokes about saying ha'etz on wine, b'diavad applies to saying al ha'etz on wine afterwards. You had you had dates, figs, whatever, and you drank wine. And then by the after bracha, you only said al ha'etz. You forgot to say al ha'gefen. You have to say it again or not. If you hold that grapes are not ha'etz at all, then they're not al ha'etz at all either. Say it again. If you say that b'diavad they are priya eitz, then they're also al ha'etz, and b'diavad you yotza. So once again, if we say 7 brachas lahako for the bracha before, we would say it also for the bracha afterwards.
Same note, like the mochi was like separated from everything else.
Yep.
Why we say mochi was like
Oh, that's because they are secondary. The fruits, the meal foods are considered secondary to the bread because they're considered to be coming because of the bread. Why are you eating rice now? Why are you eating potatoes? Because you're eating bread, which is the main thing. You eat everything else, which is secondary. So that's the way it was in the time of Chazal. Nowadays, honestly, a lot of people don't even eat bread besides Shabbos. It's like a mitzvah food. But that's the way it was by Chazal, and that's the way it stays. That's the way it was. But it's not that hamotzi is a general bracha. Hamotzi is a specific bracha. But those foods are considered tafel. They're secondary. That's why it doesn't cover like dessert, because snack foods are not secondary, because you eat them during the day also. Not part of a meal necessarily.
Or would be wrong to go back to the introduction at the beginning to also say or
Yes, it's wrong to say that the brachas, because it's an extra brachas and not a necessary bracha. On Shabbos, some people have a minhag to say the brachas before they wash to get to the number of 100 brachas. So that's a whole discussion, but That's before they wash.
They say they're also inspiring.
They don't say the bracha on the 4 cups of wine. But I think the rest is the same. As far as I know.
Yeah, an egg,
You add an egg, what do you mean?
charcoal.
Or during the meal? You don't consider,
For the, after,
you don't consider that part of after the kiddush before on white steam?
A lot of the Sephardim do that.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You eat the egg before the matzah?
Uh,
Doesn't sound right. You sure?
no, but I'll check.
Before,
Yeah,
I
check
have
that
a
out.
question, I don't know if we were discussing now, but what's the, when do we say something brachos? If there's let's say there's a machlokas in the brachos. Some say charcoal, some say tzeditz.
I think you say shakal.
So I see here, he's bringing down like 10 Rishonim that are saying that cooked wine is charcoal. And he says, and he brings up Chaygo and Rabbi Yitzchak ben Kiat, the Itter, and a bunch of Rishonim that say no.
There's many others, right?
Then, when do we say something?
I mean, if there's a psak, there's a psak. I don't know that sugya, I'm not familiar. But the psak is like the Reb Rishonim, that it's a gafen, so.
I have another category of
So
wine.
it's only Aharonim that we were that?
No, even Rishonim, but if there's a hafra, one way or the other, sometimes in halacha, we are machriya, we don't consider something
Not
anymore.
losing something.
Yeah,
So we made a that's something.
I'm sorry?
I hear about something like because of the issue with pasteurization, besides fish,
If it's considered bishul or not, you mean?
the-
Yeah, that's enough like this also, yeah.
And they got another category, so we don't mention flour or something like that.
Fustar, yeah.
Fustar.
Different definitions of bishul, yeah. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Wait, where did that tzaddik just go?
Well, that is your kid.
Oh.
And the other guy is coming.
One more, Chairman?
Yes, one more. He is coming. Ah, nice.
Shkala, how are you?
Have a good night, Rabbi.
You too, all the best. Have a good night, everybody. Tomorrow night, once again, we'll be back, 8 o'clock. It's a shame.